Dr. A. This is our PHC presentation on the importance of masks within our society facing this crazy pandemic that we've got going on. This is from the retail group. Most of us, anyway, I think participated in this. We decided to take the approach on masks because it's literally something every single person in America has to deal with right now, at least. So we thought that that would be just a foolproof way to make sure that we're covering this project accurately and making sure that we can get the most out of our retail experience with masks being present, because there's been a bunch of changes and it's a little odd these days. So the favorite buzzwords of 2020 seem to be coronavirus and COVID-19. So they're used interchangeably, the two of them together, and it's literally just a word everybody hears in conversation. Well, the other word that everybody hears in conversation is masks. So on this next slide here, you can see all the different kinds of masks that we've got going on, including these. Now, these are a favorite of mine because you can see through it all the time. And actually, my 16-year-old brother has to wear them in his high school. So they have to wear this, and then they have to wear a cloth underneath it because this kind of comes right out from underneath. So those are some of the kinds of problems and things that we're facing with them right now, is that if you don't choose the right kind of mask, then all of a sudden it's just a whole bunch of, it's people judging you, and it's, you know, conforming to society standards and all that kind of good stuff like that. So these masks right here are just some on the retail perspective. A lot of them, I know from Texas Roadhouse, I'm an employee at Texas Roadhouse. You'll see later on in this presentation that all of us have different positions in the retail world. Mine personally is food retail, but a lot of us work in grocery. I'm not sure with the other two, they haven't filled them out yet, but we do have a lot of different positions within our little 5 group members. And I know that for Texas Roadhouse, you either wear one of these or something that looks to the effect of this, but it has to be either white or black. So already there's a lot of very specific requirements for masks just in everyday life, because a lot of people out in public wear types like these, types like this. A lot of guys wear these just because it's easier, especially in Florida where we live, at least. This is used on boats a lot for windbreaking protection, so it kind of doubles over as a mask, so bonus. But at the same time, these are required for high schools. I know that the high school in my area requires this. So there's a lot of difficulty with trying to find the right one for you, trying to find the one that necessarily gets you the health benefits that you need, because a lot of them, like the cheesecloth masks, they just go right through, and a lot of them shift out right from underneath. So it's just a complicated mess on how to deal with all that. But it is necessary given that masks are required in every single day use. I know on the retail front, we experience a lot of this good stuff right here. So I went ahead and made a list of a lot of the amenities that new restaurants in particular have gotten, just in my experience. A lot of this stuff is Texas Roadhouse. Some of the stuff like the duct tape division for walking through aisles of stores, I know that that's Publix. You have specific directions that you need to go through, all while requiring you to use masks and social distancing at the same time. So during this crazy pandemic, a lot of the retailers have taken steps to make sure that everybody is being safe, being happy, and being healthy as much as possible. There are the select few that decide to ignore these, and, you know, a lot of them get COVID-19, a lot of them get, you know, judged and ridiculed. There has been a lot of fights and just a lot of back and forth physically as well as emotionally, the exchanging of words. I know that at Texas Roadhouse, we have a lot of employees who refuse to wear masks, and they were actually dismissed. So it's one of those weird things where everybody's kind of trying to navigate this from their own political perspectives, as well as from the United States government health standards and the Florida government, the state governments, and what they're trying to mandate for our safety as a whole. So this is honestly just sort of what we've got going on now. I know that, like I said, in the retail world, we have a lot of different experiences and things, but I know that from a Texas Roadhouse food retail standard, this is super important because we have to wear them for food handling. A lot of gloves we have to wear as well, so masks kind of go hand in hand with gloves. We recently dismissed our glove policy, and a lot of us were really apprehensive to do so, even though gloves harbor a lot of just sort of the presence of bacteria and things like that. we were really good about switching them and keeping them out. Our managers really got on us about it. Trust me, I know. So we were able to kind of transition really easily, but we do still require masks. Like I said, we require that blue one or something of a white or black cloth material that is a full covering all the way down to your jawline. So it's really nice for our safety, and I believe that is the end of my section for this. So thank you very much. Everybody else's videos are to follow, and hopefully this will be a cohesive presentation about the importance of masks in the US during this pandemic. So thank you so much for this class. It was really, really wonderful to look at a lot of different things from a lot of perspectives that I typically would never have thought of on the front of public health. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you, and have a good winter break and next semester. Merry Christmas.
The topic of mask making is important to public health, just because it's part of the three P's. It's prevention, preventing the spread, or hopefully preventing the spread of COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And we have here a list of pros and cons. We have protection on the pro side, protection from COVID-19 and other sicknesses, making the comfort of one another a priority. um, in protecting just people in general. It helps slow down the spread. It can help prevent the spread. It even has an economic benefit, because retail stores like ourselves, whether they are local or not, are able to sell these masks for a somewhat low price, and it helps keep the local economy in check. But there are cons, although it's up to you to decide whether the pros outweigh the cons. The cons would be things like communication barriers. We have a picture here on the slide showing a guy behind plexiglass, and they're both, the employee and the customer, are wearing masks. It can be very hard to hear um, in that environment, especially like if somebody can't talk very loud. Um, it can be bad for people with breathing conditions. Um, Another thing is the supply of masks, making sure we have enough. It's not not hard to make, but they're so in demand that we can run out of masks. Going to the next slide. It's just a picture of taking the steps we need. This is helping prevent the spread. It has taken steps. And we have just a bunch of different pictures of people, what the spread looks like, if you're wearing a mask or not. So on the top one, you can see the maximum exposure would be someone who has COVID or any other sort of disease, really, um, talking without a mask to a person without a mask, and that's the maximum exposure. And so, just making sure that we can get people to wear masks. That way, we can stop that spread, um, and that helps control it quite a bit. As you can see, the lowest risk is two people wearing the mask, just to help slow that down. Um, and then, obviously, if we weren't going to wear masks, if no one wore masks, we'd be at a high risk of spreading the disease. Um, and that would be a really bad impact on our society. Um, Going to the next slide, we have our perspectives as retail employees. Um, just showing like what it's like with different places. We have restaurants, and like food retail. And everywhere it shows that we just need masks, whether that's county ordinance or the store itself. It's just good to always be wearing a mask.
Okay, so my experience in retail at Target with this has been mainly with the customers. I've had good and bad experiences with them. Some of my good experiences involve whenever they forget their mask, we can't actually allow them to come into the store. And I know it's a hassle for them to have to go back home or go somewhere else to get a mask. So I always carry an extra pack of masks with me. And usually when I'm at self-checkout in the front, I can grab one real quick and then give it to them so they can come in and shop and they don't have to go out of their way to get one. And it just makes everything a whole lot easier. And giving out compliments to people that have really cool masks, like everybody loves my hedgehog mask because I have a hedgehog. And some negative experiences that I've had with customers are or mainly just one, definitely asking people to leave the store if they don't have a mask on. Usually we give them a warning, but there are a few people that just either always take their mask off and we have to ask them to leave, or if I don't have any extra masks to give them, then we can't allow them to enter the store, and they get really frustrated and really angry, and they'll argue as to why it's not important to have one or why we're ridiculous for having that requirement. And dealing with an angry customer, especially like at the end of the day, is just not fun.
So the big question is, are we getting better or worse with coronavirus? And unlike other countries, we are definitely getting worse. As we all know, the USA has not been handling the coronavirus very well. On this graph, as you can see, from the beginning of March to the end of August, the cases rose from just a couple to 6 million cases in America. Now, there are almost 14 million confirmed cases in the United States, which is more than twice the amount it was just 3 months ago. In addition to that, the number of deaths due to COVID has now passed 270,000 in our country, which is the most deaths in any country in the world. Brazil is behind us with almost 173,000 deaths. On the bright side, a few companies like Pfizer and BioNTech are planning to release vaccines in the United States within the next couple weeks. Hopefully, this reduces the rate at which the coronavirus is spreading. So, the main consequence of people not wearing masks is simple. COVID-19 will spread more easily amongst the people, going against two of the three P's, prevention and protection. It will increase cases, deaths, and even conflicts between citizens. And we have our big picture, which is the actions we plan to take as a group if we were in charge handling the coronavirus in the United States. We would start out with a 1-month lockdown, which may vary based on the progress of the vaccine process and public safety, of course. There will be increased flight security, meaning that traveling for leisure and family vacation will not be allowed, only things such as business trips. The only places that will remain open are local grocery stores for people to buy necessary groceries, of course, pharmacies for people to get medicine, and hospitals. There will be stricter rules on social distancing and wearing masks. Those who don't abide by the policies will have to pay a fine. If need be, either law enforcement or the military will be brought into cities to maintain control of the people in order for us to get past this virus as soon and safely as possible.
Right, and just piggybacking off of what was stated previously, as a team, we understand the importance of masks and how many lives have been saved by simply wearing one. With that being said, we would take several different approaches into resolving the issue of those who do not want to or cannot wear a mask due to several reasons. So we could, of course, start off by opening a clinic where people can receive free masks and or make masks much more affordable. This would encourage people to wear one and also make it much more easier for people to have access to them. Posting signs on billboards will also be able to help people understand how important wearing a mask is as well, because when they're driving or when they're walking around town, they are constantly reminded of what is currently happening in our day and age. We still should, of course, enforce COVID-19 laws with restrictions of entrances to public areas and limit human capacities in a single space, such as maybe 10 in a room or no more than 20 people in a single area. And we need to encourage good hand hygiene along with social distancing. Staying 6 feet apart is very important and has saved lives. Just in case, for those who don't know, if you do not wear a mask appropriately or correctly, it means absolutely nothing. Your mask needs to cover your nose and needs to cover your mouth as well. Your mask shouldn't be worn under your chin. It shouldn't be worn around your ear, just hanging off. It needs to be worn properly. Conclusively, as a team, we know that masks may be unfavorable to many, and many people complain about discomfort and allergies to the mask, but wearing a small piece of cloth could save an entire population and our community from higher rates of infection. And at this very vulnerable time, it's very important to just wear a mask and wear it correctly. Thank you.